Hello everybody and welcome back to another EP video. While some observers claim that President Biden will offer Americans a return to normalcy after 4 years of now former President Donald Trump in the White House, it's still very difficult to know at this point which aspects of the political landscape may have been changed by the Trump era forever. For instance, it's unclear whether Biden will enjoy a presidential honeymoon period, which describes the first few months in office when new presidents typically garner higher approvals for their job performance. Before Trump, most presidents generally received positive marks in their first 6 months, and as you can see in this table here, some of those ratings were off the charts. Yet with Trump, public attitudes were pretty negative from the start. On the one hand, that could have been unique to him since he was a historically unpopular presidential candidate. But on the other hand, there were signs that the presidential honeymoon periods were shrinking even before him, since Bill Clinton specifically. So given how polarized our politics currently are, it is quite possible that Joe Biden won't enjoy much of a honeymoon whatsoever. The traditional "let's give this guy a chance" narrative has basically evaporated. Rather, the divisiveness of the campaign cycle has bled over into the presidency, and therefore it is very hard to imagine Biden being given much of a grace period. Not to mention that today we have a media environment where many sources of information are just never going to be favorable for the president. However, most modern presidents have entered the White House with some sort of political mandate. That is, they've normally enjoyed at least some upbeat media coverage and positive public attitudes during their first few months in office. And that time frame usually allows the president to accomplish quite a lot in his first 100 days. But that window seems to be closing. Take the last 4 presidents since the 1990s, for example. Only Barack Obama had an average approval rating of at least 60% in the first 6 months of his presidency. Granted, Donald Trump's approval rating was especially low, but both George W. Bush and Bill Clinton's were only in the low 50s, far lower than the approval ratings of their predecessors, which points to an overall lower ceiling of support for new presidents in our more polarized era. Now, that does not mean that presidents cannot still generate a lot of support later on. For instance, Clinton's approval rating later topped 60% for long periods of his presidency, thanks to a surging economy. And Bush's approval skyrocketed to nearly 90% in the weeks after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. For President Joe Biden, however, the circumstances surrounding him taking office are rather dire, as he is entering the White House during a time of crisis, similar to what Obama encountered in 2009 with the Great Recession. But there is certainly reason to believe that Biden won't receive anywhere near the same support as Obama. That is because the COVID-19 pandemic is so heavily politicized. You would think that in a public health crisis with a new president, that he would just be able to walk into office and rally everybody behind him. That's very unlikely to happen though, because the COVID-19 pandemic was one of the biggest themes of the election campaign. And especially given voters' tendency to filter economic conditions through a partisan lens, it is very likely that many Republicans will view the economy poorly under Biden even if things improve, just as many Democrats did during Trump's tenure prior to the coronavirus, when the economy was still very strong. This is not to say that Biden will start out with a lower approval rating than Trump, however. Ahead of Biden's inauguration, for instance, he had a favorability rating in the low 50s, according to a simple average of recent polls, which is roughly 9 percentage points higher than where Trump started 4 years ago. To be clear, favorability ratings and approval ratings are not the same thing. The former measures how well-liked presidents are, and the latter how well the public believes they are doing their job. But the two ratings do often move in similar directions. Take Donald Trump as an example once again. He also had a favorability rating in the low 40s when he took office, and throughout most of his first 6 months, and this was very close to his approval rating over the same period. Nevertheless, if Joe Biden's approval rating is in the low 50s, that is not much of a presidential honeymoon. It is, of course, though, hard to know quite yet how things will go for the new president in the coming weeks and months. Our current divisions in this country may make a honeymoon period highly unlikely, but it is also very much still in Biden and his administration's control as to whether his approval ratings get a boost or a drop. What the president actually does can affect the news coverage of his administration. And considering the test Biden faces in managing the COVID-19 pandemic, including the vaccine rollout, he has a chance to win at least a bit of additional support if he handles the crisis with confidence and assurance. But of course, such an opportunity also carries risk, should he struggle to exhibit the leadership necessary to handle these challenges. Let me know what you all think in the comment section down below. Do you currently approve of the president's first few days in office? What would improve your view of him, and what would lower it? That is all for today's video though. I hope you all enjoyed. Please make sure to follow EP Official on all of my social medias linked in the description down below, and make sure to leave a like down below if you did as well. Also subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you all so much for watching. Check out more content from my channel here, and as always, tune in next time. EP out.